I have to come with it all. I have to do more. Obviously, just to secure the win is doing just enough to get a draw. So I have to push harder. I have to train harder. I have to be more mean. I have to be more physical. I have to do a lot. I have to do everything just a little more. And I think that will definitely put me over the hump. And
Is it gonna be a rematch, or y'all still working on it, or what's the plan?
It's gonna be a rematch.
But it's
Nine
not.
times out of 10,
sealed
like,
and delivered.
Yeah, it's on the way.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you.
Tank Davis and Lamont Roach are officially set for a highly anticipated rematch, and this time, the stakes are even higher. Controversy from their first fight has only intensified the rivalry, with both fighters determined to settle the score definitively. The showdown is scheduled for June 21st in Las Vegas, and given the tension between their camps, this one isn't expected to go the distance. Tank has already made his intentions clear, warning Roach that he won't make it to the later rounds. But Roach isn't backing down, confidently declaring that he's going to beat Tank again.
But, yes, and after I beat him the second time, I probably would ask the WBA to let me go up to 140 and fight Raya.
Roach hasn't held back his frustrations, particularly with referee Willis, whom he believes made several crucial mistakes that influenced the fight's outcome. In Roach's view, Willis gave Davis extra time to recover after taking a knee and ignored what he claims were illegal tactics in the corner. The challenger is convinced he was unfairly denied a victory and is determined to make things right in the rematch.
We will be getting that rematch. I think that's really big, man. If we do get that rematch on June the 21st, I believe that'll be big news. I believe that'll be big, man. So if we can get that fight, man, that would be.
Hell no, he can't do the next fight. Roach vented. It is what it is. Just look at how many times he messed the fight up. The knee, him going to the corner to get assistance. While Roach stopped short of outright accusing Davis of cheating, he firmly believes his opponent benefited from questionable officiating. You can't do none of that. That's a disqualification, he insisted.
Who cares? Like, sweat gonna get in your eye, blood gonna get in your eye.
Yeah, don't matter.
Spit fuck around and get in your eye. You know what I'm saying? But it's not like you can be like, all right, time out, ref. Hold on, ref. You can't do that.
Right. Would you be cool with Steve Willis doing the next fight?
Hell no.
He can't do the next fight.
No, he can't do the next fight.
Roach and his team took their frustrations a step further, filing a petition with the NYSAC in hopes of overturning the decision. However, their request was swiftly denied. With no other options, Roach turned his attention to securing an immediate rematch, and now, that fight is nearly finalized. "I'ma tell you right now, I'm signed and sealed," Roach confirmed, making it clear that all that remains is for Davis to do the same.
Rematch right now. Roach Tank, Haney Garcia.
Roach Tank. I mean, first of all, Tank. First of all, Tank is just bigger than Haney and Ryan both. And recency bias, that just happened. Haney was last year. This just happened. More people, like Haney didn't get a song. Well, he did get a song. But that's what I'm saying. His song is dead or dying out. Tank's is popping. Like, it's Tank's time right now. Tank is in our mind more than Haney.
On the other side, Davis has remained relatively quiet. Unlike Roach, he hasn't gone on media rants or pointed fingers. Instead, he's locked himself in the gym. Shutting out distractions and training with a new level of intensity. Whispers from his camp suggest that Davis has taken all the criticism to heart and is using it as fuel. He knows what people are saying, Davis trainer, Calvin Ford, said. That's why he's not playing around this time. No distractions, no outside noise, he's coming to make a statement. Davis himself recently broke his silence, making his intentions crystal clear. "I ain't letting this one go to the judges," he said. "This time, I'm closing the show."
I definitely could have. That was on me too. That was on me for sure. Cause I ain't pick it up when I supposed to pick it up, and I could have definitely did more. Definitely did more. He caught me with a good shot, but it was times that I sat in there with him and I'm like, damn, this guy like super slow. Well, not super slow, but he's slow. And I could.
The WBA has already signaled that the rematch will be mandated, meaning Davis must accept the fight or risk losing his title. But even if the belt weren't on the line, Tank has made it clear he's not hesitating. He's not interested in technicalities. He wants to leave no doubt. In his eyes, Roach was lucky the first fight even made it to the final bell. This time, he plans to finish the job. Roach, however, sees things differently. He believes he holds the key to victory, having already exposed holes in Davis's approach. He exploited them early, forced the champion to adjust, and is confident he can do it again, only this time, with a different ending.
12.
He got decent power. He got decent power for sure. I ain't gonna say it's exaggerated. I told y'all I got a chin. I ain't going like that. It's just not gonna happen. But like I said, I see why he knocked people out, and I think he felt my power too. Like I think that's what negated a lot of his shots. And once I took his best shot, I was like, oh yeah, it's time to roll.
Roach's movement, counterpunching, and discipline made the first fight highly competitive, and in his mind, it was enough to earn the victory outright. However, he knows that Davis's power was a game changer, and avoiding it for 12 rounds is no easy task. Negotiations for the rematch have moved quickly, with both camps eager to settle the score. Roach's promoter, Gary Jonas, confirmed that they are just waiting for the final paperwork, but the fight is all but set. With Las Vegas as the stage and the controversy from their first bout still fresh, the rematch is shaping up to be an even bigger spectacle.
On everyone's mind, how close is the rematch? How big will it be? How close is it to getting done?
Very close. It's in my mind, it's a done deal, but there are formalities, but it's a done deal, and it's not far off. I can't give you more than that right now, but what I can tell you is that it's going to be an interesting fight. I think you've got dynamics. You've got Gervonta, who's probably going to be angry, probably woken up, probably more focused than he has been, not talking about retirement. That's a factor.
Roach remains confident but cautious. He isn't underestimating Davis, but he firmly believes he has the tools to outbox him. In his eyes, the biggest obstacle in the first fight wasn't Davis, it was the officiating. His pushing for a neutral referee and a fair fight, convinced that under those conditions, he'll prove himself as the superior fighter. Davis, however, sees it differently. To him, Roach was merely surviving, not winning. He never felt in serious danger and believes Roach spent more time avoiding than engaging. That's why this time, he's taking a much more aggressive approach. He's aiming for a knockout.
He was coming up a weight.
Right.
And coming up a weight, and you're fighting immediately the head of the class. And what you and Cannon have taught me about weight classes they are important. They are in place for a reason. So don't just sit here and just act like he was just like that. Now, he came out there and fought an amazing fight. He had an amazing game plan, and I immediately really want...
Interview 9. This ain't going 12, Davis declared. I'm ending this early, watch me. But amidst all the build-up, Terence Crawford has stepped in to add even more heat to the fire. Crawford has been throwing jabs at Davis, not in the ring, but through the media. He's repeatedly claimed that Roach was robbed and that Tank should have lost their first fight. This time, however, Crawford hit where it stings even more. He's calling for Davis to fight Shakur Stevenson on the undercard of his highly anticipated September 13th showdown with Canelo Alvarez. And just like that, he's making headlines again. But is this really about boxing, or is Crawford just taking another shot at Tank?
If Tank was not so cocky to be on a Terence Crawford undercard, that would be dope. But I don't see Tank taking a backseat to no fighter, because he'll think it's the Tank show. So I don't know, but it should be a good undercard.
Crawford knows exactly what he's doing by suggesting that Tank should fight on his undercard. He's pushing the idea that Davis isn't the true face of boxing. He's making it seem like Tank needs to fight under him to get exposure. But let's be real, who really needs who here? If anything, it's Crawford who could benefit from Tank's star power to boost his own fight. Tank doesn't need to be on anyone's undercard. His fights sell on their own. Meanwhile, Crawford's pay-per-view track record isn't exactly stellar. Outside of his showdown with Errol Spence, most of his PPV events have struggled. Even against Canelo, there's a real risk that the fight won't be the massive blockbuster he's hoping for.
Gervonta Davis speaking about you. Is that ever a possible fight?
Yeah, if he want to dare to be great, he can be like all the other fighters that moving up 2 weight classes and, you know, daring to be great.
You would fight him.
Man, tell him to come up there.
He got to come to win 54.
He said I got a glass chin, so tell him to come and touch it.
Wow.
But Crawford isn't just questioning Tank's status. He's going after his pride. He said, if Tank wasn't so cocky, fighting on a Terence Crawford undercard would be dope. In other words, he's implying that Tank's ego is stopping him from making a smart business move. But let's be real. Would Crawford ever fight on Tank's undercard? Of course not. That's why this feels more like a diss than a serious suggestion. Crawford is testing Tank, seeing if he can get a reaction out of him. And let's be honest, he probably will. The tension between these two has been brewing for a while. Crawford has taken plenty of indirect shots at Tank before, even going as far as calling Shakur Stevenson and Keyshawn Davis the best lightweights in boxing, completely ignoring Tank's accomplishments.
I was telling Bud, it's either you or Keyshawn's gonna get Tank, so...
Crawford has acted like Tank isn't even part of the conversation. But let's not forget, this is the same Gervonta Tank Davis who has knocked out 28 of his 31 opponents. The same Tank who has sold out arenas and shattered pay-per-view records. The same Tank who made Ryan Garcia quit with a body shot. Yet according to Crawford, Lamont Roach is the only fighter who's come close to beating Tank. In reality, Crawford, like many others, believes Roach did beat Tank, and that's why he's so confident about the rematch. He's already convinced that Roach will finish the job this time. But why is Crawford acting like Tank still has something to prove? Maybe because, deep down, he knows Tank is the bigger star, and that's got to sting for a guy who considers himself one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Crawford might be undefeated, but he hasn't built the kind of global fanbase that Tank has. Now, as he moves up to fight Canelo, he realizes he needs every bit of star power he can get.
How you feel about that fight? Is it even possible at a catch weight?
Nah, ain't no catch weight. You come up to 47.
Not even entertaining a catch weight.
No, I'm not.
He's a champ though too, undefeated.
And, what champ? Come on, man, tell me what belt. You know boxing. You forgot Devin Haney is undisputed. Devin Haney got all the belts. He the champ. Nobody else the champ. I'm gonna come up here where the big boys at.
All right.
The truth is, Tank versus Shakur isn't happening anytime soon. And it's not just about pride, it's about business. Shakur is undoubtedly a talented fighter, but his style doesn't excite casual fans, and he isn't a big draw. Tank has made it clear that if he's going to fight someone, it has to be worth it, both financially and in terms of hype. Let's be real, Shakur isn't pulling in massive pay-per-view numbers. On the other hand, a rematch with Ryan Garcia? Now that's money. If Tank is weighing his options, why would he settle for a fight with Shakur when he could cash in against Ryan again?
Gestor asks, what's the potential matchup in boxing you would like to see next?
I would like to see Shakur versus Devin or Shakur versus Tank. Those are the two big fights that I would like to see next.
Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson. Who wins that fight right now?
Shakur. Shakur.
Wow.
And let's not forget the bigger issue. Crawford and Tank don't even fight in the same division. Crawford is moving up to 168 for this fight, way beyond Tank's weight class. So why is he even talking about Tank? Because, according to many, he knows who the real star is. Crawford understands that mentioning Tank's name will generate attention, and right now, he needs all the buzz he can get. But it's a risky game. If he keeps poking at Tank, it's only a matter of time before Tank fires back. And if there's one thing we know about Gervonta Davis, it's that he doesn't hold back.
People want to discredit Tank, he's still a pound-for-pound fighter.
Yeah. What do you think about that fight that happened? You thought it was just an off night, or?
Everybody has an off night. Everybody has an off night. I had a off night, and it was screwed. Everyone has a night. It's boxing.
Rolando Romero believes Gervonta Davis will make the necessary adjustments to win the rematch against Lamont Roach. Speaking to the ring, he acknowledged that Roach shocked the boxing world with his performance, and may have even surprised himself. However, Romero is convinced Davis won't allow that to happen again. He pointed out that Davis is a 3-division world champion and one of the greatest fighters of this generation. In Romero's opinion, the rematch is a must because the first fight left too many questions unanswered.
From what I've seen in the fight, I thought Lamont won, and I think the commission does need to do something with that knee, because if they don't, then all of us are going to think we could take a knee anytime we want. You know, they got to do something about it. I mean, they did something about me, you got to do something about other people. You know, rules are rules, right? It's, you know, I like Tank though, personally, but a rule is a rule. You can't go and take a knee and then just expect not to be knocked down. You know, you can't get away with it, stuff like that.
When you say 1 foot in boxing and 1 foot out.
But not everyone is convinced that adjustments alone will be enough. A growing number of people believe that Roach didn't just have a good night. He exposed flaws in Davis' game. Some argue that Davis' struggles weren't just due to underestimating Roach, but a sign that he's not as dominant as many believed. Roach showed he could take Davis' power, walk him down, and force him into uncomfortable situations. If Tank's power wasn't enough to put Roach away the first time, why should it be any different in the rematch? Ryan Garcia, however, is fully backing Davis. Speaking to ES News, he admitted that Tank likely expected an easier fight and assumed Roach would fold under pressure. When that didn't happen, it threw him off. But Garcia expects a different version of Davis in the rematch, one that's fully prepared for a tougher fight. In his view, Davis wins this time simply by taking Roach more seriously.
They reversed the result of your fight.
Yeah.
Should they reverse the result of that fight as well?
It just depends. Like if that changes the whole fight, if that gives Roach the victory, give him the victory. That's how you keep the integrity of the sport, right? That's why they suspended me, right? To keep the integrity of the sport. So I feel like
Garcia has his own history with Davis, and some fans believe his support for Tank is more personal than analytical. If Davis wins convincingly, it makes Garcia's loss to him look better. But if Roach delivers another strong performance, it raises questions about how dominant Davis really is. That's why Garcia will be paying close attention, especially since a future rematch between him and Davis remains a possibility. However, Garcia is also focused on his own career. He's set to fight Rolando Romero at Times Square in May, and if he wins, a rematch with Devin Haney is in the works. That bout could ultimately lead to a highly anticipated second showdown with Tank, adding another layer of intrigue to the lightweight division.
Telling y'all what was going on, it was a hell of a fight. I just rewatched it. Just literally rewatched it. Seriously. Wow. Yeah, highway robbery is right. Highway robbery is right. Like, can't make this shit.
Tim Bradley, on the other hand, isn't convinced that Davis deserved the draw. After re-watching the fight, he changed his scorecard. Speaking on his YouTube channel, Bradley first zeroed in on the moment Davis took a knee, and he didn't hold back in his criticism. Bradley called it a clear knockdown, pointing out that Davis got hit, took a knee, and then tried to claim something was in his eye. He wasn't buying that excuse. He reminded everyone that fighters can't call their own timeouts in boxing. If Davis had an issue, it was up to the referee to step in. Bradley also noted another key detail. If Davis' braids were bothering him, that was his problem. He made the choice to wear them, and he had to deal with the consequences.
Is the fight a fight that should be on pay-per-view?
Hell no, bro. You like almost a 30-year-old prospect, dog. Fight the best. Fight Shakur. Oh, he tried to fight Lomachenko at the end. I already know what everybody...
Bradley then explained that after re-watching the fight, he now sees it as a clear win for Roach. He scored it either 7 rounds to 5 or even 8 rounds to 4 in Roach's favor. He made it clear that he wasn't trying to be disrespectful to Davis. He simply felt that Roach outworked him. In Bradley's opinion, Davis wasn't active enough, and Roach controlled more of the fight than people initially gave him credit for.
But just couldn't be D1. He's a D2 player. And I was showing love to Lamont and saying that he's a D2 player simply because he's not at the level that Tank is at.
But he's scoring the same amount of points at
but,
the D2 level.
But when you put them on the court in a one-on-one, say again?
Why can't he be mid-major? Why he got to be D2?
I want to make it significant. You know what I mean? Like,
not everyone agrees with Bradley. Sean Porter, speaking on the Porter Way podcast, defended the draw. While he acknowledged that many people felt Roach won, he urged them to re-watch the fight before jumping to conclusions. Porter pointed out that just because Davis wasn't in control the entire time doesn't mean he lost every close round. He originally scored the fight as a draw, and after reviewing it, he still stands by that assessment.
The fact that Lamont Roach is as familiar with Tank Davis as he is, it goes beyond them fighting in the amateurs. They've spent time in camp together. He's been around Tank. He's seen Tank up close and personal, whether he's in the ring with them or not. That matters. When you know a guy's rhythm, when you know their speed, when you know what they're thinking, that changes everything, you know? Saying all this to say that because I know we got a lot of people. It don't matter. When he get hit, he go.
Porter did, however, admit that Roach fought a fantastic fight. He said that if Roach had been awarded the victory, he wouldn't have argued. But he also made it clear that if Roach had lost outright, he would have had a problem with that decision, especially because of the knockdown moment. In his eyes, the knockdown was legitimate, and Davis was lucky it didn't affect the final score more than it did.
I think in the rematch, I don't see it being, what'd you say, the rematch where he got knocked? Charlo against Harrison?
Yeah.
I don't see it being like that. I feel like Lamont Roach is going to start the pressure earlier, and he's still going to be ready.
These contrasting opinions highlight the ongoing controversy surrounding the fight. Some believe Davis was lucky to escape with a draw, while others think the result was fair. But one thing is clear, there's immense pressure on Davis to prove himself in the rematch. If he wins decisively, he can silence the critics and re-establish his dominance. But if Roach once again pushes him to the limit, or even pulls off the victory, it could seriously damage Davis's reputation as one of the sport's elite fighters.
That fight with Tank and Lamont Roach shows y'all how protected Tank has been for the past several years. And the people saying, oh, Tank know Lamont and he disrespected Lamont because they fought in the amateurs, man, he was cherry picking Lamont, you know, and really thought.
There's also a bigger debate unfolding about Davis's place in boxing. Some believe he's been protected for too long and that the Roach fight was the first real test of his career. They argue that he's been carefully matched against opponents who either lacked the skill or the durability to expose his weaknesses. But now that someone has finally stood up to him, people are questioning whether Davis is truly as dominant as he's been made out to be. Others believe the rematch will answer all of these questions. If Davis wins convincingly, it will prove that the first fight was just an off night. But if he struggles again, or worse, loses, it could completely change how he's viewed in the sport. The stakes are high, and Davis knows it. That's why he's expected to approach this fight with a completely different mindset. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more updates.